Welcome to Something More to Podcast, where we move through topics wherever the conversation takes us. I'm your host, Richard Collins.
And I'm Adam Culbertson.
So one of the new things from this week is the new trailer for upcoming Joker movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I don't know
I haven't
if you
watched
saw
it
that,
yet.
but
No, I haven't.
yeah. So they're completely throwing out the whole Jared Leto Joker everything. This new Joker is going to be Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, no, I did know that he was going to be the new
Mhm.
Joker. I didn't know. Like, is this part of the same universe?
I'm not 100% sure. Like, the trailer doesn't really show much in the way of tying to anything current.
Okay.
I would also say that, generally speaking, I wouldn't even be really sure it was DC if they didn't mention Gotham or Arkham in the trailer.
Really? Huh.
Like, it's definitely a different take on the Joker. Now, that being said, that's perfectly fine. The way that the Joker character works in general, it makes a lot of sense. Even throughout comics, you're given a dozen different backstories that are all like radically different. In particular, this puts him as a stand-up comedian.
Oh, really? Huh.
And he also apparently like goes around in clown makeup from time to time, but just, you know, various things happening kind of drives him crazy from there. And it's maybe a little weird to me because of the particular clown makeup that he's using. And who knows, it may change. It may just be part of the teaser trailer. There may be, you know, a final version later that we haven't seen yet. But at one point, like, he has the dyed green hair, but like the makeup is more like actual clown makeup, like where you have the red nose and the blue diamonds around the eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it feels a little weird.
Yeah, it did. I don't know. It looked weird. It kind of looked creepy.
It's kind of creepy, yeah. I mean, and I can't say that it's necessarily bad, but it's just a little weird.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not even sure if there's an exact equivalent for this type of Joker or this iteration of Joker in comics. I'm not incredibly familiar with DC, and like I said, there's so many different backstories for Joker throughout that it would be almost impossible to know all of them.
Yeah, I've never read a comic with that kind of Joker.
Yeah, where he started as like a stand-up comedian or somebody in comedy, like to begin with.
But I also haven't read. I've read nowhere near everything that there is to read.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much there and so many different backstories that there's just, it's very possible that this is one.
Yeah.
And
just have
even
to look
still,
it up. I haven't bothered because I didn't know how the movie was gonna turn out and everything. I've just seen pictures before now.
And even still, even if there isn't a comic book basis, I think it fits with the idea of the character really well. That there is this kind of mutable, you know, idea that he comes from.
Yeah.
Like that, you know, this iteration doesn't necessarily have to be like any iteration we've seen before.
Yeah, and that's kind of the cool thing about like doing the different movies and everything, and just comics in general, that like so many things can happen in different universes, and they've let it be known that there's different universes out there. There's different possible timelines in Marvel and DC.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh yeah, and so all in all, the trailer looked really good. I think all in all, it's going to be a good movie. It's definitely what DC needed to do to begin with, is, you know, introduce your villains in like, you know, these big movies that center around them.
Yeah.
I think Joker more than any other villain, I think does kind of deserve to have his own standalone movie. Maybe at some point you throw Batman in like at the end or something, but it's not really about Batman. It's about introducing the Joker first and foremost.
Yeah. Ben Affleck, he's not going to be doing Batman anymore.
Right. And as far as I'm aware, they haven't selected another Batman.
Yeah.
But it's pretty apparent that they want to reboot that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, they likely will keep Wonder Woman as is. I feel like they probably will keep Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Yeah.
And
which I still haven't watched that movie yet. And I've heard so many mixed reviews on the Aquaman movie, so I still haven't watched it yet.
I actually haven't either, but like I don't think I've heard any complaints about him in particular in the role.
I heard a lot of complaints about why Aquaman had blonde hair. Like, does it really matter? Like,
I mean, that kind of thing
to me it makes sense. The way he looks makes sense for an Aquaman, like a real kind of Aquaman.
Doesn't really bother me so much. Like, what I appreciate is that they hearkened back to the costume.
Yeah,
which is something that I feel like, especially in like the 90s and early aughts, was so against what they wanted to do. They're like, oh well, these costumes are far too goofy. We can't do anything like that in like a live action.
Yeah, and let's cut off his hand and put a harpoon on it.
Oh yeah, like the comic iteration.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, that was some pretty badass look.
Yeah, it was a badass look with the long blonde hair and
like the scruffy harpoon hair and everything, a harpoon hand.
It's so ridiculous.
It's kind of ridiculous, but it made some really cool looking scenes.
Yeah, DC made some weird choices back then, like Lightning Superman. I will forever just rag on the Lightning Superman.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, like, if he wasn't in electric form, which there was a limited amount of time that he could actually do that before it just completely drained him. Mm-hmm. When he was Clark Kent, he could be killed. Like, he could just be, he couldn't do all the crazy shit that Superman did, like secretly block bullets and stuff.
Yeah.
without Lois knowing, he's like, oh, got him.
Yeah, I guess they missed. Yeah. So all in all, I think DC is kind of getting on the right track with their movies.
I hope.
Like I said, I mean, time will tell what happens, but this is definitely the kind of thing you need to do with Joker, I think.
Yeah.
Like whatever way, whether or not you include Batman, Joker deserves to have his own movie that centers around him.
Definitely. And that's why I like on the Marvel side of it, I'm glad they're doing, which I still haven't watched Venom yet. They're doing Venom, now they're doing Carnage. Like, I hope they do a whole thing with all the symbiotes and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, all in all, I did watch Venom. I thought it was actually rather good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't, like, I wouldn't put it like absolute top tier,
no,
but it was pretty good. Like, I thought they did a good job with it, and overall, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Like, I would have kind of liked them to tie it into Spider-Man, but I understand why they didn't, since I think they're kind of unsure about the future of that iteration of Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's better to leave it open.
Yeah.
Than just throw in another Spider-Man and then it not meshing and they can't work with it, and
because there's just too many Spider-Man.
They don't get a sequel.
Too many Spider-Men.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a good thing, the way things are going for comic book movies. I need to actually watch, now that it's out, Shazam.
Yeah, it's out now.
Yeah, I believe it is actually in theaters now.
I get so behind on comic book movies.
There's so many of them.
It's crazy.
I mean, nowadays, like, I mean, there really are like 5, 6, 7 of them a year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't go to the movie theater anymore. Like, I just haven't been in a long time. So I always wait for it to come to DVD or wait for it to come to Netflix.
Yeah.
So.
And that's fair.
Yeah. So I end up watching a few months later. And sometimes I just don't get around to it, or it's not on Netflix. Like Venom, like I would have to get the DVD for that or rent it or something.
Right. And you know, not really quite with superheroes, but another thing I'm pretty excited about that is coming out this week, like within the next week.
Yeah.
Is One Punch Man. Season 2 finally coming out.
Yeah. The first season was awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely amazing. like they did such a great job of making a character that is just ridiculously powerful. Nothing really even threatens him, but they still made him compelling.
Yeah.
You know, instead of his struggle being against bad guys, because he doesn't struggle against bad guys. His struggle is with trying to find a decent fight.
Yeah.
Like, he himself is frustrated that he can't get a worthy opponent.
Yeah. He's like Goku, but never hits that happy satisfaction.
He never has to push himself.
Yeah.
Like, every fight is basically just mundane to him.
Yeah.
It's like even throughout the first series, like, the whole idea was basically like, okay, the bad guy comes in, like, fights some other people to kind of show off powers, and then fights Saitama, you know, the main character. And it, like, just does all of this stuff, and Saitama just basically sits there and takes it. And then he's like, okay, well, are you done? Is that it? You got anything else?
Yeah.
No? Okay, well, this is done now.
Mm-hmm.
One punch.
Yep. And they'll kill other heroes.
Oh, yeah.
Or like completely dismember the cyborg. I don't remember the names, but his apprentice, that he ends up becoming his apprentice.
Genos?
Was that what his name is?
I think it's Genos.
Genos, or is it Genos?
Well, at least if you listen to like Japanese audio, like they pronounce it Genos.
Okay. But yeah, like, I think the first time they meet, like, he's just like torn to shreds by the freaking mosquito lady.
Oh yeah.
And he just comes in and boop, she's dead.
It's like other characters exist to make the fights interesting and,
yeah.
You know, develop the fights and everything. And then he just comes in to end them, basically.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a good way of writing an overpowered character, because it's almost comical in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Just the fact that he wants this good fight. Like, that's all he wants, is just a good fight. And he can't get it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I think, let's see. I think it actually comes out like Tuesday, Wednesday. Like, I think it's actually out on Tuesday, but it may not be out on over here until Wednesday.
Okay.
And I believe it's actually Hulu that has the rights to it.
Nice. That's what I watch the most.
So it should be on Hulu come like Tuesday night or Wednesday.
Yeah. I had a religion thing I saw.
Religion thing? Oh no.
Yeah. Do you remember the Bible Man cartoon?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, it's some weird ass cartoon. So they brought it back. It's being rebooted and on Pureflix. And yeah, it's terrible. The villain is a the villain is a scientist that causes doubt, apparently, and there's an evil baroness that encourages hard questions and debate.
How horrible for you to question anything.
Yeah, so
I don't know. The thing that bothers me so much is if you are religious, there's absolutely no reason why, like, say, Christianity and science can't work hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you say things like, oh, well, you know, God works in mysterious ways and things like that. If you're wholeheartedly believing that God's the one that did all of this, set everything in motion, why can't science just be the explanation of how all of that works?
Yeah. I don't see why science is wrong.
Why couldn't God have been the one that set things in motion that way?
Yeah.
Like, why are evolution and religion such completely disparate ideas?
I don't get it.
It's and what it comes down to is, I think people are just taking things way too literally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, do you really think that we're talking literally days? Like, that God literally made the earth in 7 days? Because, well, 6 days and then rest. Yeah. Because I got news for you. Prior to creating the sun and everything, there wasn't a day to begin with. That concept would have been entirely foreign, because a day is specific to our planet and our sun.
Yeah.
Like, that's how we define a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where that... Yeah. So many things. Like, why did they write that? Why? What was the point of writing that?
Like, I mean, it's just... In any case, like... It just doesn't make any sense to me that anybody would think, oh, well, he just snapped his fingers and everything just was.
Yeah.
Like, even if you do choose to be religious, like, it makes so much more sense to look at it as, basically, like, he's basically knocking down dominoes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, okay, well, these series of events are going to lead to the thing that I want, so push the first domino and everything else falls into place.
Yeah. Yeah, and like a lot of people think that just because you're a scientist, oh, you must be an atheist. There's a lot of scientists that are also religious, and
right.
They follow different religions too. It just like I think even what's his name, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think he's religious.
I believe so.
Like, and he's like one of the biggest known scientists.
They don't have to be opposing ideas.
Yeah.
But everybody acts like, oh, well, this science threatens all of our beliefs. Well, maybe you're just not thinking about your beliefs the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a Big Bang, if the Big Bang was how everything started, why could God not have created triggered it or whatever? I don't know.
Even if you think of things more just like, oh, initiating event, like, starting the Big Bang or whatever, and then just let things play out the way that they will. I mean, which is kind of a normal tenet, the whole idea that, God knows everything that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And like everything happens according to his will, his plan. Who's to say that plan wasn't basically just initiating the Big Bang to let everything play out in turn?
Yeah.
It's just there's so many ways that the two ideas can work together that it makes no sense for them to be at odds.
Yeah.
But no, people get all up in arms about it because they feel like it threatens their belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole Bible man thing, like, it's just straight up propaganda, really.
Mm-hmm.
That's promoting, like, not to think freely and question things. Like that's the bad guys,
right?
And stuff. And probably a lot of people probably haven't watched this. Like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Bible man, it's a superhero for my kid that I don't allow to watch violent stuff, so we're gonna give him Bible man."
I don't know that I'd seen it before, but when I pulled it up on my phone here, like looking at some of the pictures, because apparently there's a live action as well.
There's a live action.
Yeah,
wow.
Apparently. It just reminds me of like a really bad Sentai show. like the stuff that like Power Rangers was based on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but it's like porn acting quality.
Yeah, super believable.
Yeah. Like porn acting quality and voice acting quality without the sex.
What? You mean Bible Man doesn't have sex in it?
Yeah. Oh, but everybody was like making jokes about like the whole making fun of the Catholic Church and everything. And the priest diddling kids and shit.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's fucked up. We live in a fucked up world.
Oh, it's very true. One other thing I was reading about, just to kind of continue on that really kind of fucked up line, is there's more news coming out about Amazon and their treatment of employees.
Yeah.
This time it's about health concerns. Like Amazon basically refusing to pay any like workers' comp or anything like that. Like basically demanding that their employees go back to work even when they shouldn't be. Like one case that I was reading about where someone had developed like carpal tunnel, basically.
Yeah.
And even the doctors or whatever, advised that she shouldn't be going back to work, and they were like, well, no, like, we're not going to give you any time off for medical, like, you have to be at work. And like it ended up just getting to the point where she had to sue them over compensation, because
I hope she won, because they're supposed to pay workers' comp.
She absolutely won.
Good.
But it's like she had to sue them to even get that, though.
Wow.
And all of this while Jeff Bezos is now the richest man in the world,
who's not paying taxes.
I mean, it's his wealth is being made off of the backs of hardworking people that he's basically just treating like gears in a machine.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's not like they get that much money. Like,
no.
He has the most successful company in the world. They barely get anything.
Yeah. He's just looking to replace them with robots eventually.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, he doesn't have to pay them.
Yeah.
Didn't have to worry about medical with them.
Mm-mm.
Like, there was even another that I saw, like, even outside of like the stocking and everything, like the warehouses, there was one guy, I think, that was in HR, that was having trouble as far as getting like medication.
Yeah.
For like his company insurance and things like that. And I mean, had to fight that, and ended up dying because he couldn't get the medication he needed for his heart.
That's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
And all of this is it's not even the only thing, because like a ways back there was also that news that came out about how, especially in like their warehouses, you had people that were sneaking off into the warehouse and peeing in bottles because they were afraid to take bathroom breaks because of the pressure was being put on them, and like the demands that the company was putting on them. Well, no, you're not allowed to go to the bathroom, basically.
And see, people
like, you'll be docked pay if you go to the bathroom.
Yeah, and see, people weren't taking it very seriously back then, and I'm afraid they're probably still not going to take it seriously now. And
well, I mean,
they're going to keep getting away with this, and it's going to keep getting worse and worse and worse.
It's unacceptable. It really is. Like, the way that they are treating workers is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that somewhere along the line, we got this idea that, oh, well, because somebody started the company, they should make all of the money.
Yeah.
And the people that work for them don't contribute anything, so they barely make anything. When in actuality, if they didn't have anybody working under them, they wouldn't have a company.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, other countries, and I mean, obviously there's still a pay disparity, but you look at countries like Japan, and in a large number of those companies, pay is more even across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Not that everybody makes like the top level pay, but when you look at the disparity between the top of the company and the bottom of the company, it's nowhere near as large as what we have over here.
Yeah.
Does anybody need to make millions and millions and millions of dollars a year?
No.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's exorbitant. And all of this is coming at the expense of their workers, like especially in the case of Amazon. It's coming at the expense of their workers, and it's coming just off of, oh, well, I can charge more, so I'm going to charge more, and I'm just going to put it in my pocket.
Yeah, yeah. And then on top of it, going beyond the workers and hitting the entire nation, it's at the expense of the taxpayers too.
Mm-hmm.
Because
absolutely.
Our taxes go up.
Oh, absolutely. Because
their
there's
taxes
so much,
are non-existent.
And I mean, we've touched on this before, but it's like there's so much in the way of like infrastructure and other governmental things that taxes pay for, that when he dodges taxes like that, he's basically just getting all of this stuff for free off the backs of the American people.
Yeah. Yeah. And he sounds like an evil person.
It really
like
does.
when you list all this out, he sounds like an evil person.
I mean, seriously, like you could just drop this in like any comic book and he's boom, like basically a Lex Luthor.
Like, yeah. Oh man. But yeah, with the whole tax thing, like Congress is going after Trump's tax returns now.
Which they should. I mean, they should have like years ago.
Yeah. I mean,
and
dude himself,
mm-hmm.
He said it himself during the debates.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, if you're smart, you don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
No, that's wrong.
Well,
that should be wrong.
It should be wrong. And I'm not saying that it necessarily is, but I mean, there are far too many tax loopholes.
Yeah. But for somebody that claims to be a billionaire, because I still don't believe he's as rich as he is, or he says he is.
I mean, I still believe what Michael Cohen was saying about him inflating value whenever it benefits him and deflating value whenever that benefits him.
Yeah.
So if his persona calls for him to be like a billionaire, he's going to value everything high enough that he is a billionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, he values his name at like $4 billion, I think, is what it amounts to.
Yeah. But I mean, if he paid taxes, cool. If he paid taxes, cool. But if it comes back and he paid fucking hardly anything, like 15,000 or something, well, like that was one thing that somebody said. I forgot where was that from. Cohen?
I don't recall exactly. I don't know if that particular number, if a particular number was given.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, like if it's a ridiculously low number, if it's under $1 million, like I don't know.
I mean, what it comes down to is it's taking advantage of the governmental system.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they make all of this money, they want to keep it, like whatever. But how can you justify, like, you know, the amount of taxes that just your average working American pays percentage wise versus the amount that most of the ultra rich end up paying percentage wise? Because yes, like their taxes on paper are higher than what the working class is, but most of them like find all kinds of loopholes to be able to not pay them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and then you got people like good old Bill Gates.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I should be paying more taxes.
Well, you know, all in all, I have a lot of respect for him.
Oh yeah,
because he does have a lot of money, but he does a lot of good with his money.
Yeah, a lot of philanthropy. Is that what
philanthropy.
Philanthropy.
He does a lot of philanthropy, a lot of like charities. Like, I mean, he does give back.
Yeah. I watched an interview with him, and he was talking about, or maybe I read it. I don't remember if I saw it or read it, but he was talking about how whenever him and his wife met, like they talked about all the philanthropy they wanted to do, like with the money that they have and all, and like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but there's so many people that are just so blinded by greed, really. You know, they just have to have all of the money, as much money as they can.
Yeah.
And, you know, they don't help anybody with that. Like, if anything, they hurt people to get the money that they have, and they do everything in their power to keep every bit of it.
Yeah.
At the expense of anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of pay disparity that you have in companies here is really should be criminal. It's insane. Like a company succeeds largely due to the workforce, and they get next to nothing for it.
Yep.
It's one of those
0.1% or 0.01% increase this year because we had millions of dollars in sales.
Well, it's one of those things where maybe we need to rethink the way we go about minimum wage laws. Maybe minimum wage shouldn't be based on like cost of living as much as minimum wage should be based on the company.
Yeah.
And the company's performance.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, McDonald's makes a shit ton of money, and they like in other fast food chains, like they make a shit ton of money every year, and they keep people at minimum wage.
Oh yeah.
Like people don't stick around. So they're constantly cycling people out on minimum wage.
Yeah. And I mean, the sad reality is that a lot of times the people at the top barely do anything.
Yeah. They go to board meetings. whenever they have them.
Oftentimes they make ill-informed decisions, like where, oh well, we're just trying to make as much profit as we can, so we're going to implement all of these things. We're going to cut this, cut that, and they don't know or care how it affects anybody below them.
Yeah, because they're cut off from that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what it's like, or at least they don't anymore. If they did know what it was like, they're completely separated from that whole mentality and being able to, I guess, have empathy for the people that are down at the bottom.
Well, some of them, they've never known what that's like.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at these families that have been wealthy for generations, I mean, for the most part, they have no clue what it's like to be even near the poverty level.
That's probably the majority.
It probably is.
There's not a whole lot of new money out there.
Although you are seeing more of it thanks to like the internet and the internet
tech
booms.
industry.
Tech industry in general. But I mean, it's like so many of them, they were born in money. They've always had money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it is likely a completely foreign concept to them to actually have to depend on a paycheck coming in.
Yeah. And it sucks.
And yet they still just rake in money hand over fist.
Yep. See, I can't ever imagine even wanting or having the drive to, like, if I was to like start a business and it like just does really well, like I'd be happy just hitting a certain point to where like I'm just happy.
Absolutely. Like, I don't need all of this fancy, ridiculously expensive stuff. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if I'm making enough to get by and live comfortably, I don't need anything else. Yeah. And when I say comfortably, I mean, even up to like $100,000 a year is really comfortable.
Yeah. I forgot what it was. Like, there was like the perfect amount of money that you could make in a year is like, that's the threshold that like you don't have anything to worry about. Like you just, it's the happiest point of income. And you go beyond that, and then you have the stress of having too much money. And then below that, you have the stress of maybe not having enough money.
But I can't really feel sorry for people who have the stress of too much money.
I know.
Okay, then give it away.
Yeah.
Like, if it's that stressful, then just give it away.
Don't dodge taxes.
Yeah. I mean,
pay your worth.
Easily solvable problem.
Yeah. It is, but people are greedy. Like that's a pretty natural trait for the human race, I guess, is greed.
I don't know if I would even say that it's natural.
Really?
I mean,
like so many people are greedy. Like
it's a thing amongst some people.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even say that it's normal for the majority.
Really?
I mean, I do believe that the majority of people, while they want things for themselves, don't actually cross into that area of just, I want things because I want things.
Yeah.
And I just want to have more, always more. Like I guess it's maybe less just greed and more the actual idea of avarice.
Yeah. I guess that's
like, I don't
it's a
think
better way to put it.
I don't think that that's like a wholly just human thing.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are people that I think just are that way, but I don't think that that's a natural instinct that most people have.
Okay.
If anything, I almost feel like that's more of I guess the argument of nature versus nurture. I think that's more of a nurture problem than a nature problem.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Like the way that they were brought up or like the way that certain things have been, I think largely dictate whether or not someone is greedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's one of those things where I feel like the majority of people who have spent their lives having to go from paycheck to paycheck, generally are not as greedy because they understand what it's like on the other side.
Yeah.
And I guess it's less about
Yeah,
just
and more
trying
people
to
are
amass
like
everything
us.
you can and trying to amass everything you can without concern for who it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, so it would be a minority of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot less rich people than there are people just barely scraping by.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's very true.
Yeah, they're more like us. So I mean, yeah. So I was definitely wrong on like it being a.
Well, and I mean, obviously,
thing.
mine's just an opinion. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not even a psychologist to be able to say definitely.
But it makes more sense that
that's
way.
Just,
like
that's just kind of my standpoint.
Had to think about it,
and I wouldn't even say there's a right or a wrong here necessarily.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something. Like, everything doesn't necessarily have to be right or wrong.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was there something else you were wanting to touch on?
The Mueller report.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to get too heavy into it because we still don't know what's in it. Congress still doesn't know what's in it.
Right.
But like both sides are like, oh, it has to be wrong because of Barr. Like
the way that Barr worded everything is really suspicious.
It is suspicious. And then everybody been like, oh, well, Barr said it's okay. Like, oh, he's totally exonerated. And the president himself said that. But like, fucking let it come out. Like, why block it? If it exonerates you, if it exonerates the president, stop blocking it.
Trump himself did actually, at least really early on, call for it to be revealed.
Yeah. Yeah. Before it was done.
Well, I mean, like, once Barr came out and said, oh, it exonerates him, he was like, oh, it exonerates me? Well, then release it.
Well, yeah, but he'll say that, but won't actually.
Well, it's not even up to him.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Like, he can call for it all he wants, but it's not his decision to make.
Yeah. But because he said, oh, well, let it be released, people are just going to be like, oh, well, see, he said it's okay. Mm-hmm. He said it's okay to be released, so he knows he's safe.
I would dare say he probably doesn't even know what's in it exactly.
He probably doesn't even like know what a report is. Like, he just.
Well, I mean, obviously his were all made for him in school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It goes down to it. I saw something. It was I think it's a meme or something. It was like, well, if you're not guilty of anything, then they should release the report. It shouldn't be being blocked by Republicans. And if you had good grades, you should release your grades.
Or, you know, if you didn't do anything wrong on your taxes, release your taxes.
Yeah.
Especially considering that it is something that presidents have traditionally done.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, oh, well, we're hounding you about doing this because you're the only president we've just been suspicious about. It's because it's unusual for you not to have anyway, which makes it look like you have something to hide.
It does. Yeah, I don't see how more people don't see that. I mean, I'm a lot of people do. A lot of people do see it. I don't see how everybody does it. I don't know. It's just wishful thinking. But
and it's just there's just so much that just doesn't sit right with me concerning Trump.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just business dealings even. I mean, you look at so many things that he's slapped his name on that have just basically burned like to the ground, like Trump Steaks or Trump University.
Oh God. Oh man.
And I mean, it really does show that he's only concerned with getting his name out there and building his brand basically. And you know, he doesn't care about the particular. He doesn't care about, you know, how it affects other people or anything like that.
Yeah, like not paying contract workers.
Yeah.
Like they finish the job. Oh, or stiff you on the bill.
Or using charity money to buy artwork to put in his resorts.
Man.
I mean, all in all, he's not a good person.
No.
Whatever way you want to look at things, whatever way you think the policy should go, he's not a good person.
I don't like rag on all Christians and everything like that. There's plenty of Christians out there I totally respect and they don't push anything on me or anything like that. They respect my decision. I respect their decision.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Right.
But I don't understand how any like Christian person would be okay with him. Like he has no Christian values.
He really doesn't. None whatsoever.
I mean, he's cheated on every single one of his wives.
Mm-hmm.
He's got so many cases against him for freaking pedophilia.
Even just the way that he talks.
Yeah.
Like he's constantly disparaging people.
Fucking making fun of mentally challenged people.
Oh, yeah.
Like by making fun of reporters for I don't understand the connection.
But it's like
like doing the hand thing and making the face and going durr. Like what? How is that a Christian value? Why are you supporting this?
And it's not even just that. Like he disparages people of other faiths, of other like nationalities.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think he honestly believes that every illegal immigrant is somehow a murderer and or a rapist.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's just not true. I mean, there are some people that are simply illegal immigrants because they don't see another way.
Yeah. Yeah, most of our illegal immigrants are trying to get away from murder and
mm-hmm.
death threats.
I mean, there are definitely parts of Mexico where gang violence is a major problem.
Mm-hmm. And it goes all the way into their government.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that all of it's bad, but I mean, in some local governments and in some of these countries, like it's being run by bad people.
And, you know, further, like, you know, this whole, like, threatening to close the borders thing. Like, I mean, for one, if you're so concerned with illegal immigrants getting in outside of the legal ports of entry, what good is closing the legal ports of entry going to do? Like, if you're already like, oh, well, they're all just coming over the border anyway, what's that even going to do? And the other thing is, because it seems to assume, like in his wording of how all of this is he wants Mexico to stop the illegal immigration, almost as if they're the ones that are causing it to happen. Like, they're just sending people over, like, all of you just go across the border.
Yeah. Or he's like wanting like armed guards along the border, which is impossible. Blocking anybody from getting into the U.S. Like, they have just as much control over it as we do, as far as that goes. And then everybody being violent criminals and everything is just unrealistic.
I think, really, if you want to stamp out illegal immigration, then you need to streamline and incentivize legal entry.
Yep. And that's what was going on for years before all this.
And just because it's streamlined,
it went down.
Just because it's streamlined doesn't necessarily mean, oh, well, you know, no security whatsoever. Like, still vet people. Like, still have, you know, a process that they go through. Still check people out. But, I mean, the way that things are right now, like, I can totally see how some people just wouldn't or couldn't deal with all of it and still try and just come in illegally.
Yeah. The process for a lot of legal immigration is very long. Like, it takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not an opportunity that a lot of people can wait for.
Right.
So they try to come and claim asylum and stuff like that.
Now, I feel like what would be a better way of going about it, and this would be something that we would work with, you know, Mexico, you know, probably even Canada to some extent, although we don't have the same issues with Canada. But, you know, since they are neighboring countries and there is a fair amount of immigration between, is actually having stations set up in Mexico, like partnered with Mexico and their government to be able to process immigration from their side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then they can have something like a place to stay at least until like put them up.
Something that they can deal with while they're going about their normal lives.
Yeah. There's people that just don't understand that, and they see everybody as a potential violent criminal.
Well, I mean,
when the actual numbers and of like shootings, mass shootings, murders, and everything, they're mostly people that are citizens of this country, not illegal immigrants or legal immigrants.
To be fair, yeah, every one of them is potentially violent. But that's also true of every single person on the planet. Yeah. Everyone is potentially violent until you get to know them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you just want to look at, I don't know this person, they could be violent. That applies to everyone. Stop looking at things by race or nationality or things like that. Yeah. Like, if you're going to assume that about a group of people, then you should be assuming it about everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But that's a sad thing about millions of people in this country is they do see things like by the color of your skin.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like that dictates what kind of person you are, what your status in life. Like that sucks.
I mean, it's tribalism, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really old fashioned. It's really outdated, and it's really something that as a civilized society we need to get over.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
It shouldn't be about us versus them.
Yeah. Back to that team mentality.
Yeah. And I mean, it's fine to have that in things that don't really matter, like sports teams.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're talking about like civil liberties, human rights, like
come on.
There shouldn't be teams here.
Like everybody's a human.
Exactly.
What the fuck? Like, how do people not see that? Like, why? Oh my God. Like, what does that come from?
Like I said, it all stems from tribalism.
Yeah.
Like back when mankind was like nomadic, especially, it was the idea that if there was a group of people that were not like you, they posed a threat.
Yeah.
Because they weren't part of your group, and they were likely not going to be any good for you at all. Like either they were probably going to try and conquer you, just to increase their own like supplies or resources, or they posed a threat in the way of taking away resources that you could have otherwise had.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, it made sense.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of, this is our group and we need to look out for each other, because back then you couldn't have a massive group of people. You couldn't just have like 1 million people all wandering around.
Their societies couldn't sustain it.
Right, exactly. And so in actuality then, other groups did pose a threat.
Yeah.
But ever since we've actually started settling down, like creating cities, like starting to farm, like, and cultivate things, it's become less and less necessary to, especially at this point, there's no reason for tribalism at all. But some people just can't get over their base instincts.
No. Yeah, I guess hopefully that can be eradicated, like not in like killing people or anything like that, but just like just that mentality just
yeah.
finally just goes away. I feel like in a way I want to feel like it's a small amount of people that are like that, but then like you see all this shit on the news, and those same people are like, oh well, people are attacking white people now, it's racist. I'm like, really? Like like it's not that's not happening a whole lot, and it's not hate crimes that much against white people, and you're completely missing the point.
Yeah.
That that minorities in this country are not given the same civil liberties that white people get. Yes, there's poor white people and they're down on their luck, but they're not going to get pulled over by a cop just because of the color of their skin.
Well, and I think part of what's going on is that there are white people, particularly white males, that feel threatened by the fact that in 10 or 20 years, the country is probably going to be majority minority. In other words, the total number of minorities is going to outnumber the total number of whites.
Mm-hmm.
And that really concerns them. Like, they're scared of that. And I think part of it comes down to the fact that they think that it's probably something that's going to come back on them, as far as, well, look how badly we've treated them. When we're not in charge anymore, how are we going to be treated? Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like me and you, like, we don't go out there and spread hate and fucking attack minorities and everything like that. Like, we don't have to worry about that. They're out there spewing fucking bullshit about, white males are being discriminated against. I don't know. And then just completely just trashing everything, the entire point that everybody else is trying to make, that they need equal rights on everything. Like, there's still a lot of instances where there's still not equal rights for minorities because of the people in charge of police stations and sheriff departments and stuff like that. Like, they don't have the common courtesy that we have. Like, I know that.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I don't have to worry about that.
No, because and it's something I actually saw some recent polling, and for the most part, people are positive about that fact that minority populations are rising, and legitimately, 10 or 20 years, there's a really good chance that less than 50% of the country is going to be white. Yeah. Now, white would still be the largest section of that, at least, within that time frame, but white would no longer be the sole majority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you look at these polls, like, for the most part, like, Democrats are fine with it. Like, younger groups are generally fine with it. All of the minorities are generally fine with it. Like, even women are generally fine with it. But when you look particularly at white males, typically older white males, and especially Republicans, like, you have this negative view on it. Like, oh, well, this is going to be horrible for the country because, white people are no longer, like, majority control.
Because that matters. Why? Obviously the country's not doing too well right now. Like,
and it's just, and you even look at, like, the Republicans as a party. I mean, they're vast majority.
It's a white. Sea of black and white, black suits and white faces.
Oh yeah,
and men.
And yeah, largely men. There are women.
There's a few,
but even those women are predominantly white.
Yep. And then you look at the Democrats, and you just have, it's colorful. The clothes, like, it's not just a black and black suit and tie. Like, everybody's wearing different colors. There's a lot of women.
Yeah.
There's still, it's like half women, half men. I don't know the exact numbers.
I don't know exact numbers either.
But it's a good mixture. And then you have different races. And different religions. And just different people that represent their communities.
Right.
Like, you can't tell me that every community, that every Republican politician is over, that they represent those people. You can't tell me that.
Yeah.
Like, the Democrats are showing that they're actually voting people in that actually represent them.
Well, I've heard the argument before that it's like, oh, well, Democrats are just supporting all of these, like, their position on immigration because they want to flood a bunch of Mexican voters in so that they can be, like, pro-Democrat, so the Democrats can just run everything. But it's like, at a certain point, that's kind of flawed logic, because if they keep flooding more and more, like, Mexicans in to be voters, then wouldn't that make the Democrats a majority, like, Hispanic party, which would then give the Hispanics the power, which would then, make their ploy to make that their power useless, because, you know, it wouldn't be run the way that they were hoping. It would be run the way that the Hispanics would want it to be run. Like, it's just the plan doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
like,
no.
But at a certain point, like, just trying to pander to the minorities isn't just going to keep you in power. It's going to influence the way that your party works. Like, it's going to influence the way that your party is motivated.
Yeah.
Because as you get more and more minorities involved in your party is actually going to be more and more towards what the minority wants.
Yeah.
So it's a flawed logic to assume, oh, well, they're just trying to get as many minority voters in as they can so that they can just win the elections. And it's like, and to what end? So that they can replace themselves? Like...
Oh, man. The Russian bots on social media. Have you encountered any of those?
No, but I also generally steer clear of social media when possible.
Yeah. I've been getting more into Twitter, and I made an Instagram for the podcast, which I got plans to do stuff with that. But right now it's got nothing on it. But the Twitter, like, I follow some political stuff, I follow video games, I follow all kinds of stuff, but mainly the political stuff, like, just blatantly obvious Russian bots. One of the things that really stood out to me, and because there's so much just arguing in social media, the right and the left just going at it constantly, and like I have to admit, like, the left arguments, while some of them are kind of childish, you have a lot of, like, people presenting actual facts and being like, well, this, and then Republicans just pull out this fucking shit out of their ass and just throw it at the screen, apparently, and just whatever it types. And like, it's just the regurgitated, like, the exact same shit they've been saying for fucking 10, 15 years. Just the exact same stuff. Well, what about this? Or what about this? What about this? You're completely dodging the question. You're completely dodging the topic at hand, and trying to put blame on somebody else that's not even relevant to the situation. But one of them that really stood out to me this week was with the Russian bots, is with the Puerto Rico. Trump said that there was 80 billion or some ridiculous billion number of funding that was sent down to Puerto Rico, and they're complaining, and he's just trashing Puerto Rico for taking all this money that doesn't exist. They didn't get billions of dollars for restructuring or rebuilding or anything, like, at all.
You know, for that matter, I'm pretty sure he still doesn't realize that Puerto Rico is part of the United States. Yeah,
well, he did say the Puerto Rican's president, and he's the Puerto Rican president
himself as the president of the Puerto Ricans.
Yeah. But people were just arguing back and forth about how oh, well, it's not a state, it's a
territory.
It's a territory, so it's not the same. Like, they're not American and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, they can fucking serve in the army. They can serve in our military.
That's ridiculous.
As Americans.
Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. It's like, oh, well, they're just a territory, so they don't count.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about people who live in Washington, D.C.? It's not a state. It's not a part of a state. It's its own entity.
Yeah.
Like, are they not Americans too now? Like, what about, like, when you look, like, through history, like when we were expanding out into the West, and a lot of those places were territories. They weren't states yet. Were they not American? Like, were they not citizens of the United States? Yeah. As all these people were going out to Oregon, like on the Oregon Trail, Like, did they cease to be U.S. citizens as they went further out west?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is. But the bot came in and was like, well, I was doing work down in Puerto Rico when the hurricane hit, and it's not as bad as it says, and like so many people are making so much money off of this. And I'm like, and people were like, oh yeah, see, this guy knows what he's talking about. That's like, and then somebody was like, so what part of Puerto Rico were you in? And then somebody responded with the Russian speaking area. And then I scrolled up and looked at the name, and it's just it's a Russian name.
Oh yeah.
And looked at the history, and it's just a bunch of just fake posts and everything. But people see those, whether it's called out or not. People see that, and they're like, well, this person was there, so they obviously know. People can't lie on the internet, except for Democrats.
You see it all the time on social media, where I mean, nobody corroborates anything, nobody looks into anything, and everybody just takes typically whatever they want to hear as fact. Like, it just kind of furthers that idea of the echo chamber, like where you only really pay attention to things that you want to be true.
Yeah. And it's a huge problem because a lot of people will just see headline titles. And that is their news source, is just the headline.
Well, and headlines, a lot of them nowadays are just clickbait.
Yeah, they are.
Like, they don't have any substance to what actually is in the article. It's just, oh, well, this is going to be eye-catching and everything, and it'll make people want to click on the article. And they'll click, but usually they won't read any of the article itself.
Yeah.
Or maybe skim like the first little bit of it or something.
Yeah. Just enough to like make their belief real.
Yeah.
Just enough.
Yeah.
That's as far as people will research into these articles and everything. It's just enough to make it real to them. And that's why we push, like, read shit.
Yeah.
Like, don't just go off of, like, read like actual quotes from people that are saying this stuff. Like read the research that's done behind, like, by actual journalists putting this news out there.
Right.
If something sounds like it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Like, even for us, don't just take our word for it.
Yeah.
And call something out. If we say something that's incorrect, or even if you just have like a different opinion,
Yeah. Talk to us on Twitter. Like, that's really the best place to put it out there is talk to us on Twitter. I got a post. It's pinned up at the top. You can tweet at us. That's something to cast. The number 2 cast, and with a hashtag something to request, or if you just want to just send us a tweet and say, hey, well, I didn't agree with this, and this is why I don't agree with that, and like, we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
like, we'll look into it and see, like, if we made a mistake. Hey, you corrected us.
And I'm not above changing my mind.
Yeah, I'm totally open to changing my mind. I've done a lot of it.
I mean, if you have a point, if it's well explained, and if it changes my way of thinking, then so be it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not so hard set in my beliefs that I'm not willing to listen and consider other positions.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it was like not even 5-6 years ago. Like, I considered myself a Christian Republican. And now I'm an atheist social democrat.
The thing that drives me nuts is like reading all of this stuff, like so much hate just for the idea of socialism. And it's like you see over and over and over again, and like all these comment threads about, oh, well, socialism doesn't work. Like, it's been proven. There's been no successful socialist country, and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, so while I'm not going to argue against, no successful socialist country, it shouldn't be about all or nothing. Like, none of these things should be all or nothing.
Yeah.
Like, just take the things that work. Like, you don't want to have just a purely socialist government.
Yeah, and if you look at the views of social democrats and what they stand for, it's not straight socialism.
No.
Like, it's not. And people are just labeling social democrats, and I have a huge problem with the Democrats themselves referring to social democracy as socialism, because it's not, and it's misrepresenting it.
It is.
And so I try to make a point to say social democracy, social democrat, because it is different, but it's been labeled as socialism.
Right.
And most people do believe that it is socialism.
And it shares some ideas.
Just straight socialism.
Like, it shares some ideas, but I mean, it's not just socialism, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like I think really looking across history and looking at like current governments and everything like that, there is no singular best system.
No.
There's no system that if you just go like full in hardcore, this is all we're doing. There's no system that just works.
Yeah.
Like the only way that you're going to get that I guess quote unquote ideal government is by picking and choosing and taking things from different ideas. Like entire like governmental like ideologies are just kind of bogus, because there's so many factors in it. You can't just take an overarching ideology and apply it to everything whole cloth and expect it to work out right. Like, you have to tailor it to what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to take like the parts that work and leave the parts that don't out.
Yeah.
And it's not even going to be the same for every country.
Yeah. And it takes a long time to make transitions into different things.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that we have, I don't know about other countries because I don't really keep up with everybody's politics, but
it's hard to. There's so many countries.
Yeah. But one of the biggest problems we have is when something good actually makes it through and becomes law or something, it becomes like actual stuff that's, I guess, law. Yeah.
Right.
It becomes law. And other stuff gets tucked in there.
Yeah.
That's detrimental to the people of this country.
It's all that politicking and deal making and concessions, and it's like, okay, well, we'll give you this as long as we can get this other unrelated thing passed.
Yeah.
And it's all just part of that whole politics game that I think is killing us.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, as we weed out the older generation politicians,
yeah,
like, we can get newer, more diverse politicians in, hopefully on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully more sides get included, so it's not just two parties going at it all the time.
Right.
But hopefully we can get some more diverse open-minded, like, thinking people,
right,
in office that aren't just out to make a buck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although, it's kind of like the whole idea of tailored ideologies for like countries. I mean, that even extends to part of why I'm very big on the idea of states' rights, because even across the country, what's needed, in South Carolina isn't the same as what's needed in California, which isn't the same as what's needed in Texas, which isn't the same as what's needed in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So on and so forth. Like, every state is unique in its own way, and they don't need to all adhere to the same ideologies.
No.
So I do believe in that tailored ideology, and I believe that states should be able to have a larger say in the way that things run within the state.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were after D&D last night, we were talking about just like excited to eventually do a D&D podcast.
Right.
And like it's probably going to be next January 2020 before we're ready to kick it off.
And we'll see. One thing's for sure, it'll be a while.
Yeah.
Definitely not in the near future.
Yeah. Hell, I would like to start it now.
Would like to, but definitely not something we're ready for.
Yeah. But we because right now it's just me and you. Like, we got our equipment.
Mm-hmm.
We only have a 2 microphone mixer, so we need to get a bigger mixer. And there's 4 of us. Like, a 4 mic mixer would be good.
Well, 4 NDM, so 5 total.
You're right. So we need a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just added somebody recently to the
and that would leave the availability to have up to 5 players.
Yeah. Yeah. And 6 would be good. But yeah, like it's just, we're having a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And we actually just finished, for anybody that does play D&D, we just finished the Lost Mine of Phandelver. It's the starter kit for D&D 5th edition.
Yeah, we totally finished that completely by the book, exactly as it was written.
Oh yeah. No, I completely I followed a lot of stuff by the book, but just changed stuff throughout the way, and we actually ended it with a battle royale gladiator cage match outside of Phandalin in this giant dome cage that Droopy the Goblin built.
Yeah.
With a dragon on top that roared to start the fight, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where that's one of the great things about tabletop gaming in general is even when you go by some kind of a pre-made adventure, things like that, you don't have to adhere to that. Like, you can make your own story even using that.
Yeah.
Like, you can just kind of use that as general plot threads and guidelines.
Character build. Like, you don't have to build characters because they're already there and they have a backstory and how to role play them and everything.
But you can take that and you can still make it your own.
Yeah. Yeah. Turned a quick starter kit adventure into 10 3-hour sessions.
Yeah. Oh, was it only 10?
Yeah, it was 10.
Wow.
we did have some breaks around the holidays, and then we had a break recently because just work schedules weren't working out.
Right.
Really. But yeah, the dragon interrupted Venom Fang. If you know the start of the Lost Mines of Phandelver, Venom Fang had attacked this silver dragon. That this was before they found the silver dragon injured, and he attacked it, and it's leading them into Storm King's Thunder. And the dragon was there trying to recruit other dragons to help fight giants, basically. And went to Venom Fang. Venom Fang fucked him up. He managed to get away. The party found him, healed him up, got him back into town. He turned into an elf. Frost Breath is his name. Yeah. And then it was just like this huge show. Like, you had like Quidditch, like stadium seating, like going around it, but like better than it was in Harry Potter. It was like those little tiny,
full on all the way around.
Yeah, full on all the way around. Like all the sections like combined, and like they were just floating around so everybody could see inside the arena. And because there was walls blocking off sections and different obstacles and everything throughout the whole thing. And then in the middle, there was boxes of flamethrowers. And whenever the silver dragon roared, the fight started. Well, a few rounds in, like a lot of people had already died, and the Venom Fang heard the roar, and he comes in, blasts the cage, it melts from his poison breath, and like falls apart, kills some more of the NPC fighters out there and everything. And then it was a battle royale, like they were to the death. Like, the players were gonna be fighting each other to the death, and the last person alive wins the prize.
Right.
And but the dragon came in and everything just changed. But the crowd was loving it because it was a whole like wrestling kind of theme to it.
Yeah.
And everything. They had outfits and names. Like yours was Sergeant Mason because you're a stoneworker dwarf.
Right.
And the one of the fighters, Salazar, he was the El Conquistador.
Yes.
And he was dressed like a conquistador. Like he always dresses. What?
The El Conquistador.
The El Conquistador with what's his axe?
Oh, the Articles of Impeachment.
Yeah, Bookfucker was the Articles of Impeachment. And then Carrie, he was a fighter. He picked up learning barbarian from the Star Gladiator. That was a gnome barbarian, and he was called the Leprechaun.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun, and definitely, I mean, I'll say it as many times as I have to. It's just, that's what I love about tabletop gaming, is because there's nothing tying you down. Like if anything at any moment can be just whatever you want.
Yeah. I change stuff just constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be planning something out all week. I think I've said this before. I plan stuff out all week and I change it over and over and over. And then I sit down the morning of a session and I'm like, shit, I don't know how that'll come off. So let me scrap that. And then I'm just like, bright idea. Like, I'm going to do this, but not come up with anything about it. Not do as much work as I've put into the stuff that I've scrapped.
Yeah.
Come up with one idea and then I improv from there.
And it usually turns out just fantastic.
Yeah. So I can't wait to, like, I'm just anxious about getting started with a D&D campaign that's set in a universe that in the Cthulhu mythos.
Yeah. I
think high fantasy Cthulhu mythos universe.
Be really interesting, really fun, I think.
Yeah. Just waiting on that physical book to really dive into it. Because if I pulled out my tablet, which I rarely ever do, I could read PDFs better on that. Right. But then it's just bulky to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed flipping through a physical book better than just kind of going through on a tablet or a phone. Like, it just seems a little clunky.
Yeah, phone is just too small, and my eyesight's terrible.
Like, I've always just liked the feel of a physical book.
Yeah, me too. And the tablet, I always end up hitting a button and going off of a screen or accidentally scrolling too much, like while I'm trying to read one part, like by just barely tapping the screen, touching it. And I don't know. I just find it a hassle. Mm-hmm. I don't read audio, or I don't read.
I should hope not.
I don't read like digital books or anything. If I'm gonna read anything, and it's usually a D&D book, it's gonna be a big ass hardback copy. Like I don't even really like getting the paperbacks. I just like the feel of the big hardback books.
Yeah, definitely.
They last longer too, so because you end up using it a lot, and with a paperback, it's destroyed.
Yeah.
You go through a campaign and it's just done.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. Ink's too expensive to print out and make my own books with PDFs.
It's so ridiculously expensive.
Even going black and white, like grayscale, like it's still like it's ridiculous.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's almost enough that it's like, well, maybe we should just start making heat transfer printers.
Yeah.
Like that should become our predominant printing method, just because ink's so expensive.
Yeah.
And I mean, heat transfer is not perfect by any means, but it's cheap.
Yeah. We had a LaserJet printer when I was growing up, because my dad, working in IT, he would get stuff all the time from work. And I freaking love the LaserJet, but those cartridges. This was an old LaserJet too. Like this thing was bigger than like a gaming PC. Like it was massive. Like that sucker is heavy. Like it took 2 people to carry it.
Oh wow.
I mean one person could like just bear hug it and pick it up, but like the thing was massive and heavy. And like I love that thing. It printed so fast. One cartridge would last forever, but if you had to buy a cartridge for it, it was up there. Luckily, my dad got free ones sometimes, so or like a used cartridges, stuff like that. So
right.
I think I don't really remember. I was young. That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
in my 30s.
Yeah, 3 decades roughly is a long time.
Yeah, but yeah, I would print so much stuff out because I love printing out like DC comic pictures. Mm-hmm. I go to the DC.com or whatever it was then. And really, they didn't have a whole lot out there. You could order your comics to be shipped to you off of the site, but other than that, it was just like hero spotlight and villain spotlight pictures with a little blurb.
Yeah,
like that was it.
Oh, but yeah, I guess probably start wrapping up. But
oh yeah, wow,
we do have one thing as we're wrapping up here to announce. We've both been accepted into the cast of an upcoming production.
I almost forgot about that.
Oh yeah, it's a Grand Theft Auto 5 machinima series that's called The Fixers. There are a couple of trailers out already.
Yeah, and I'll link the trailers on Twitter.
Yeah. Or if you look, I think you can actually find it now on YouTube by searching The Fixers trailer. Or if you're having trouble,
The Fixers, I think.
Yeah. Or if you're having trouble seeing it that way, the channel is Ashen Bloke. That's ASHEN space BLOKE.
Yeah.
But definitely check out the trailer, especially trailer 2.
Yeah.
Like that one. That one's really piqued our interest in auditioning in the first place. But yeah, we're both going to be in the voice cast for some of the side characters, and definitely looking forward to getting that off the ground. Definitely is really exciting. Starting to get some traction. Like a lot of Instagrams are starting to share it, and we're trying to get some attention from Rockstar themselves.
Yeah, because Rockstar does love to promote fan made content. For the game, so it'd be really nice if Rockstar, we catch Rockstar's eye, and,
oh yeah, absolutely.
And get on there. But yeah, we're coming in on episode 2.
Right.
First episode is going to be mostly the main cast.
Right.
And then
don't want to overload it too much with just introducing characters.
Yeah.
But right now there's no particular release date for the first episode, but production is already well underway.
Yeah, what they're already working on the 3rd episode on filming.
I'm not exactly sure, but I know they've already been working on the first 2 episodes.
First 2, and, yeah, definitely.
And I know they're already talking about the 3rd episode.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if they've been doing voice work on the first episode yet. We haven't gotten anything on the 2nd episode, but I mean, stuff is moving along. Like we got a composer that's done the music for it and everything, and like it sounds awesome. Like when I saw it, I saw trailer number 2, and I was just like, oh man, I gotta audition for this, because I've been auditioning for voiceover roles since this past summer. Is when I started. I'm finding the locations to audition for free that doesn't require you to pay an annual subscription of like $200, $300, $400, which is ridiculous. But there are free sources out there on Reddit. You got Behind the Screen Actors Guild. that's mostly where I look. And there's a lot of projects out there that's it's free. It's just people doing it on their spare time and everything. And that's what this is. And trying to make something out of it. And I watched that trailer and I just fell in love with it. And I was like, okay, this is something I will watch. I want to be a part of this project. I audition and, or actually I missed the audition for the main cast because I was dealing with some mental health issues at the time. And, I ended up talking to the guy and, I explained to him what was going on. And he's like, well, we've still got side roles. And we just got to talking about the podcast because it was fresh in my mind after editing the day before and releasing the new episode on a Friday. And he was like, oh, you got a podcast? Can I listen to it? And I was like, okay, yeah. Here, I sent it to him and he's like, okay. He's like, I like both of your voices. Like, get your friend to audition for some side roles. You audition for some side roles and yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So definitely looking forward to that. We'll definitely let you know, like we'll definitely make an announcement once we have some more information concerning release dates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're definitely going to be staying on top of that. And hopefully we'll have something soon.
Hopefully so. But yeah, so I think that's all we'll have for this week. So thank you for joining us, and join us again next week when we'll have something more to podcast.